Let's get into it. I was going to say the other part. No, Coach Colin News. We are on the second channel. Thank you for being here. Let's get right into it. Patrick Bet-David has two co-hosts in his podcast. If you don't know about Patrick Bet-David's podcast, you should check it out. It's a great podcast. They have a lot of authentic talks, and Patrick likes to talk to people who are hard right, hard left, and everything in between. So it's pretty good. But he has two co-hosts. One name is Adam, and he is insufferable. And the other, his name is Vinny. And I like Vinny a lot. Vinny's from New York. He's a straight New Yorker. He served his country. He comes from two immigrant parents who made him work hard. They came over legally. Vinny is just a stand-up guy. And he's a massive Trump supporter. He has a big message, a short but big impactful message to everybody who is talking about Trump potentially causing World War III. And after his message, we're going to delve into what Trump actually did. And this is going to be a big window into why they don't want him as president, why he is the man who is just completely unacceptable. And they're willing to lie about what's going to happen when he's in office and things that he's going to do. Let's get into it.
What's up, y'all? Vincent Oshana here. I'm going to keep this short and sweet, but I'm going to give you guys fair warning. I am going to cuss one time, but I am going to church tomorrow and I will ask for forgiveness. That being said, this message is to all the leftist, liberal, Democrat losers that for years told us Donald Trump was going to start World War III. And as we all know, it didn't happen. But tonight, my good friend Patrick Bet-David posted on X that the Britannica Dictionary definition of world war is a war involving many nations of the world. And as of tonight, April 13th, NATO is in multiple proxy wars. The U.S. is in multiple proxy wars. Ukraine is at war with Russia. And today, as we all know, Iran is at war with Israel. And just a few moments ago, Vladimir Putin declared that Russia will support Iran if the United States attacks Iran's soil in support of Israel. So my message to all the people that warned us about World War III, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Keith Olbermann, Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, Rachel Maddow, Jim Acosta, Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski, Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, Bill Maher, Van Jones, Joy Reid, George Stephanopoulos, the Krasenstein brothers, and last but definitely not least, my very good friend, Steve Schmidt. I say this from the bottom of my heart, and I know I speak for millions upon millions of Americans across the country when I say, fuck you. I'm out.
That is Vinny. I'm telling you, he is a great co-host, and I love seeing him do things by himself as well. But he's right. For the longest time, all those names that he named, all of them said that Trump would cause World War III. They said, oh, it's the tweets. Oh, it's his temperament. Oh, I remember just recently, Brett Weinstein was on Joe Rogan. He's like, his temperament is not right for office. Stephen A. Smith is like, I don't like his temperament. The things he says is not statesmanly enough. And you know what? For me, I think that makes no sense. It's funny. You know what's really funny is that he actually does have the temperament of a wartime president. Like if you're going to go to like war, you kind of want someone with his temperament that's willing to kind of lay down the law, you know, almost threaten other countries, do things that will just like take them right off their feet and feel no way about it. You know, just let smears of xenophobia and racism fall right off of them. That's exactly what you want. You want somebody who's just like, America, this is my thing. Anybody touches my thing, it's a big problem. Who wants a problem? You actually want that, you know? But he was actually quite the opposite. He was actually very anti-war. He didn't want war. He didn't want death. He didn't want anything like that. But there's reasons for that. And it's really, really interesting. Look here. Literally, this is from years ago. Trump setting the U.S. on path to World War III. Another person here. What's this one say? World War III alert. The real reason Trump is going to war in Syria. Oh, it's going to cause World War III. We're all going to die in World War III caused by Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. But at least it has comedy value. A lot of people had that to say about Trump. He was going to be the one to cause World War III. He was going to tweet something that was going to be unacceptable. he was going to get mad and just go to war. He didn't do any of that. The main thing that he was focused on throughout his presidency was the economy. And making sure, his words, that other nations paid their fair share. Whatever deal that he was in on, or that America was in on, he wanted to make sure that the other countries were paying their fair share. And if they weren't, he wanted to know why. And that was it. And as far as I know, still sick, sorry. He was the first president to actually tell everybody, hey, these guys aren't paying their fair share. Hey, you know, we're paying this much, and they've only paid this much, and they owe this much. As far as I know, no other president was pulling out the numbers like that and showing people. But leave it to a businessman to do things like that. But there was another reason he didn't want to go to war. Now, even just that, okay? Another reason he didn't want to go to war. But here are the reasons why he became so unacceptable. He was already unacceptable. And I think the reason in 2016 that he was unacceptable is because there was a certain plan that was supposed to be followed through on. And I think Hillary was supposed to help that plan along. And he threw a wrench in that whole thing. He also became unacceptable because he was calling out. Once he became president, he started calling out with a passion what was really going on in regards to why people didn't like him being so anti-war. Listen to these clips. Let's go through it.
Well, they want to keep waging war, mainly to satisfy defense contractors.
I'm not saying the military is in love with me. The soldiers are. The top people in the Pentagon probably aren't, because they want to do nothing but fight wars so that all of those wonderful companies that make the bombs and make the planes and make everything else stay happy.
President Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, said Tuesday that Trump's remarks were more directed at the so-called military-industrial complex.
So that's very interesting. The fact that he said that, all these companies that make the bombs to keep them happy, you know? No presidents really call that out that much. And you have to think, again, when you go back to the theory that I just put out of Hillary being a part of this plan, she was supposed to help move the plan along. You know, big wrench got thrown in there, which was Trump. Now, think about what Trump said. Think about how happy all those companies are now. I'm just saying, with everything that Vinny said, all the proxy wars, everything that's going on, think about how happy they are now. Think about how unhappy they'll be if Trump gets back in office and says, we're going back to the way I did things before, no war. I don't know. Let's listen to this.
We cannot continue to be ripped off. We're ripped off by so many countries, and we're stopping it. And that means that a lot of people don't want me here. They don't want me here. There are a lot of people that don't want me here. You know, they don't sell a lot of bombs when we're not dropping bombs on people. You know that, right? It's called the military-industrial complex. When rioting and looting broke out in our nation's capital, I very quickly deployed the National Guard. I said, get up.
So again, he brings it up again. There's no president that's really bringing it up to that extent, that boldly, just outright saying, this is why they don't want me. They're not happy when I'm around. They're not happy when I'm in office. This is why they don't want me here. And again, think about the presidency now and how happy all those companies are. Now, am I saying it's just about the companies and money? Like, no. I'm sure there's a bunch of things at play that I'm probably not even privy to. But the fact that the man who's been so anti-war throughout his presidency is looked at and branded as someone who would bring about World War III, and also he's looked at right now, or he's at least being branded as by the mainstream media, Joe Scarborough, all those names that Vinny named at the beginning, as somebody who's going to be a dictator, as somebody who's going to have, Joe Scarborough's words, have black trucks pull up on people, and the brown shirts are going to come and they're going to put hoods over your head and take you away in these trucks. And Robert De Niro saying that he's going to get rid of De Niro and he's going to get Bill Maher off his show. Joe Scarborough screaming, Trump is going to kill people. He's going to kill people. You know, it goes back to, and I know you hear me talk about it all the time if you watch the show all the time. It goes back to Saul Alinsky. Accuse them of exactly what you are guilty of. Exactly what you're going to do. Accuse them of that. It's just what they do. It's what I'm seeing, at least. They said Donald Trump would be the one to usher in World War III. I look at Biden and I'm like, huh, well, it looks like that was you. He even said those words. Trump's going to take us to World War III. Trump doesn't make it as president in 2020, and all of a sudden you usher in World War III. Now I'm hearing talk of Trump is going to be a dictator. He's going to be a dictator. It's going to be authoritarian. There's going to be no more elections. You've already proved to me that the things you accuse him of, you actually end up doing. I'm just saying, I don't have control over who's going to be president. I do not have control. But when I hear all of this, man, it's very telling. It's very telling. So you have to look at it from the companies that drop the bombs, like he said, right? They don't want him around. Intelligence doesn't want him around. Chuck Schumer himself says that the intelligence agencies are very upset with him, and they have 6 ways from Sunday to get back at him. And then how do they get back at him? I don't know. Well, he's not the president. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying, it seems like every high deep state-like place, field, office, whatever you want to call it, company, doesn't like him at all. And it seems like it's because he keeps doing what's best for the people instead of doing what's best for them. That's what it seems like to me. I don't know for sure. I'm just saying that's what it feels like. I don't know what it feels like for you when you see this guy get charged with all these indictments and has to fight through these cases, and then you learn what the cases are. It's like, oh, I say Mar-a-Lago's worth 18 million. You said it's worth 700 million. The bank said it was worth 300 million. You paid the bank back, and the bank has a good relationship with you, and you should go to jail for that. Now all of a sudden another case has started, and you actually look into what the case is, and he wrote legal expenses. Someone did in his company, wrote legal expenses. And they feel like, well, that's falsifying because it was actually this and that. So it's just about 2 words that are written. When I see all of that, and I see how these institutions have been functioning for quite some time, and then I see that they say that he's the most unacceptable person, but he's the one that's been doing the most for the people. I don't know. I think I've seen this play out too many times. I see Tucker Carlson trying to bring truth to the people. He gets fired. Then he gets branded as a racist. Then they try to silence him. Then they try to sue him. I see James O'Keefe. He's trying to bring the truth. Then he gets fired from his own company as soon as he breaks his biggest story. Then they sue him. Then they try to silence them. Then they destroy his actual Project Veritas is now gone. I just keep seeing this over and over and over again. The playbook seems very clear to me. I don't know about anybody else, but you know, it goes back to what Jimmy Dore said. I think Jimmy Dore said it. I think Tucker Carlson said it. You don't get in trouble for lies. That's what's expected. That's what they're needing you to do. You get in trouble for the truth. We're not done with the clips, though. Let's go here a little bit.
And they had 14 or 15 sites where there was nothing but war, problems. Every single one of those sites was instigated by Iran. It was Iran military. It was people paid by Iran. It was just, you have no idea. It was just, I said, this is terrible. They were so strong. I ended the Iran nuclear deal. And actually, I must tell you, I had no idea it was going to be as strong as it was. It totally, the country is devastated from the standpoint of the economy.
But now you see, the thing that I think a lot of people are worried about is that they heard what you said in 2016 and liked it when you said no more stupid wars. And then they hear these stories about troops and so on.
I just don't want them to have nuclear weapons. and they can't be threatening us. And you know, with all of
I just want to read
with
you
all of
something.
everything that's going on, and I'm not one that believes, you know, I'm not somebody that wants to go into war, because war hurts economies, war kills people, most importantly, by far most importantly. I think that if you look, when I went to North Korea, there were nuclear tests all the time. There were missiles going up all the time. We had a very rough time. Then we got along. We'll see what happens right now. Right now, I don't think I told him when I left Vietnam when we had the summit. I said to Chairman Kim, and I think very importantly, I said, look, you're not ready for a deal, because he wanted to get rid of 1 or 2 sites, but he has 5 sites. I said, what about the other 3 sites? That's no good. We're going to make a deal. Let's make a real deal. But they haven't had any tests over the last 2 years. It's 0. There's a chart, and it shows 24 tests, 22 tests, 18 tests. Then I come, and once I'm there for a little while, you know, we went through a pretty rough rhetorical period. But once I'm there for a little while, no tests, no tests, no tests. So let's see what happens.
So
but you cannot let Iran have nuclear weapons.
So it's very interesting. He brings up that point again. There was no test. I wonder, because I don't know, so I'm not going to make any insinuation here, but I wonder if as they're testing, you know, actually, it must cost money, right? And I feel like there's not dozens of these companies that help nations arm themselves. So if there was no test, so it's almost like he's not only affecting America and their spending when he doesn't go to war, but then also as he goes to other nations and promotes just no war or anything, or smooths things out with these leaders, all of a sudden they're not doing tests. They're probably not spending as much either. It would just be another reason for those type of companies to hate him. That's all. And then again, there's this.
Seriously ill people. I don't want to say, oh, they're wiped out, you know, ISIS. But I wiped out 100% of the caliphate. I say, I want to bring our troops back home. The place went crazy. They want to keep, you have people here in Washington. They never want to leave. I say, you know what I'll do? I'll leave a couple of 100 soldiers behind. But if it was up to them, they'd bring thousands of soldiers in. Someday people will explain it.
Well, this is an example.
You do have a group, and they call it the military-industrial complex. They never want to leave. They always want to fight. No, I don't want to fight. But you do have situations like Iran. You can't let them have nuclear weapons. You just can't let that happen.
So that's an example.
See that right there. He's just like, someday people will explain it. And I think that's true. As time goes on, you know, this is like 4 years ago now, it's starting to become very clear. For some reason, everybody is happy and thinks that the current president who has ushered in World War III is the best person. This guy, perfect. And the guy who is anti-war, somehow he is unacceptable. He didn't cause any war. He smoothed things over with world leaders. You know what it really seems to me? It seems like a more macro version of divide and conquer. You know how, you know, within the nation, you want to keep people separated by race, and then you want to separate them by gender, and then you want to separate them by their political stances, and then you want to separate them by this, and you want to separate, and they try to separate everybody as much as possible, right? Because if everybody came together, you know, you'd be much stronger. It seems like there's also that aspect nation-wise, where if all nations came together, I don't mean one world government or anything like that, but if they all just kind of started getting along, started cooperating, not too much, because too much is a one world government, but just enough. Like, hey, we're good over here, you're good over there. We're not going to let you have nuclear weapons over there. Hey, we need you to stop doing those tests over there. If everybody just kind of fell in line, that's a problem. You know? It's like a little divide and conquer, but in a big way. And anytime somebody within the nation tries to bring people together, they get demonized. You know, if they try to bring people together, races, political stance, all that stuff. You know, like right now, Robert F. Kennedy, he wants to unite the parties, and his own family is like, he's a danger to the public. It's like, okay. Like, I'm not interested in him being president, but I don't think he's a danger to the public. He's running on a pretty, like, his campaign is pretty solid, like good-hearted, you know? But anytime you try to bring people together, it's an issue. So maybe what Trump was doing, being this anti-war president, not wanting to see other nations go to war, trying to deter other nations from even doing nuclear testing, maybe that's a huge issue. So, yeah, I'm just thinking about that. Like, why is he so unacceptable? You have to think about that. Like, why are some people unacceptable as president and other people are just so acceptable? Why was it that it was very apparent that there were so many people, even on the Democratic side, who wanted to see Nikki Haley rise up to the ranks? Like, why is that? Like, why? She didn't seem that good. Her campaign didn't seem that good. But for some reason, she was so acceptable. Trump's not acceptable. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is unacceptable. For some reason, Biden is acceptable. Like, I don't get it. You know? Don't let Ben Shapiro hear this, because I'm just asking questions right now. He'll get really upset. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. You know, when Vinny went on that rant, I was like, you know, let's look into Trump being anti-war, and let's look into that. Like, what is that all about? But you let me know what you think in the comments section. All right? All right, like, subscribe, share, helps tremendously. I'm out.